whipped, spun, a circle in a circle. My children your hand cannot reach. They will live and learn and teach, and when my spell comes undone, 3 more will rise to form the one. A circle of sisters, joined in power to stand and face the darkest hour. Courage and trust, justice with mercy, love without boundaries are the lessons 3. They must, by free will, join to face their destiny. If this they fail, 1, 2, or 3, this island will sink into the sea. But if they turn back the dark, this place will never bear your mark. This spell is the last cast by me. As I will, so mote it be. The darkness snatched at her as she leaped, but could not reach her. As she plunged toward the sea, she hurled her power around the island where her children slept, like a silver net. 1. Three Sisters Island, May 2002. It had been more than 10 years since he'd stood on the island, over a decade since he'd seen, except in his mind, the wedges of forest, the scatter of houses, the curve of beach and cove, and the drama of the cliffs where the stone house stood beside the white lance of the island lighthouse. He shouldn't have been so surprised by the pull and tug, or by the sheer simplicity of pleasure. Sam Logan was rarely surprised, but the delight in seeing what had changed and what hadn't surprised him by its depth. He'd come home, and hadn't realized, not completely, what that meant to him until he'd gotten there. He parked near the ferry dock because he wanted to walk, to smell the salty spring air, to hear the voices from the boats, to see the life flowing along on the little bump of land off the coast of Massachusetts. And perhaps, he admitted, because he wanted a little more time to prepare himself before seeing the woman he'd come back for. He didn't expect a warm welcome. The fact was, he didn't know what to expect from Mia. Once he had. He'd known every expression on her face, every inflection of her voice. Once she would have been standing on the dock to meet him, her glorious red hair flying, her smoky eyes alight with pleasure and promise. He'd have heard her laugh as she raced into his arms. Those days were over, he thought, as he climbed the road toward High Street and the stretch of pretty shops and offices. He'd ended them and had exiled himself deliberately from the island and from Mia. Now he was deliberately ending that exile. In the time between, the girl he'd left behind had become a woman, a businesswoman, he thought, with a half-laugh. No surprise there. Mia had always had a head for business and a view for profit. He intended to use that, if need be, to wheedle his way back into her good graces. Sam didn't mind wheedling, as long as he won. He turned on High Street and paused to take a long look at the Magic Inn. The Gothic stone building was the island's only hotel, and it belonged to him. He had some ideas that he intended to implement there, now that his father had finally released the reins. But business would wait, for once, until the personal was dealt with. He continued walking, pleased to see that while traffic was light, it was steady. Business on the island, he decided, was as good as reported. He had a long stride, and it ate up the sidewalk quickly. He was a tall man, nearly 3 inches over 6 feet, with a rangy, disciplined build more accustomed in the last years to tailored suits than the black jeans he wore today. The long, dark coat he wore against the brisk breeze of early May billowed behind him as he walked. His hair was black as well, and, wind-blown now from the ferry ride from the mainland, swept past his collar. His face was lean, the long bones of his cheeks well-defined. The planes and angles were softened somewhat by a full and sculpted mouth, and with those black wings of hair flying back, presented a dramatic picture. His eyes were alert as they scanned what had been and would be again his home. Somewhere between blue and green, they were the color of the sea that surrounded the house, framed by dark lashes and brows. He used his looks when it suited him, just as he used charm or ruthlessness. Whatever tools came to hand were employed to reach his goal. He'd already accepted that it would take everything at his disposal to win Mia Devlin. From across the street, he studied Cafe Book. He should have known Mia would have taken what had been a